Hey guys, how you doing? Steve Lav here. Just wanted to do a little vlog. Saturday afternoon, probably about 11 o'clock, and I like to do my vlogs for my subscribers that watch me. They enjoy them, so I want to talk about a couple of things. I want to talk about testing, equipment. And I recently, you guys know I run the 570. I recently, I tested my 570 gauges with pressure on them. And they held fine with the pressure, but recently I had tried using them to pull a vacuum on a system. Some systems you run across, the best way to pull a vacuum is put the Schrader core remover tools, remove the Schraders and put half-inch or 3/8 hoses right to your vacuum pump and pull a good vacuum with a micron gauge. Take the refrigerant gauges right out of the equation. That's the best way to pull a vacuum on a system. But recently I had used my 570s to pull a vacuum on a system. And, I was having a hard time getting the vacuum down to where I wanted it. So, the moral of the story is we need to test our equipment. Just because it's digital gauges and they hold pressure doesn't mean that they're going to hold a vacuum, because them O-rings, when you put pressure to them gauges, them O-rings on them little shutoffs might push, and not leak at all. But when you pull a vacuum and it's sucking, sometimes they'll leak. Well, anyway, the moral to the story is, I put my 570s directly to the vacuum pump and tried to pull a vacuum on just my gauges straight up, and I had a hard time getting down to 600 microns. So when it's like, what the flip, I put brand new hoses on there, and the best thing to do is always check your hoses at the end, make sure that the gaskets are good. But everything was good, brand new set of hoses on there, and the sucker was still couldn't pull a vacuum. And I put the micron gauge directly on the vacuum pump, pulled it right down under 50 micron. So I know the vacuum pump oil was good. So we just need to check our equipment from time to time. It's very important. But like I said, when you're pulling a vacuum, the best way to do it is take the gauges right out of the equation. And there's different ways to pull vacuums. You can't always put the Schrader core removers right on the king valve. Some systems, the way they're designed and the way the sheet metal is, you'd have to take half the unit apart to be able to do that. But there's vacuum trees with shutoffs, and there's different ways of doing it. But I just wanted to mention that, because a lot of times we're out there working in the field and we're busy and we're going from job to job, and your equipment's only as good as the last job that you were on, and it might not have leaked on the last job, but this job you come on, you go to pull a vacuum and you're having a hard time. You don't know if it's your equipment that's faulty, or there's a leak in the evaporator, or there's a bad leak in the king valves. Sometimes that shit can drive you bloody flipping batty. So I just wanted to talk about that. And, things aren't always cut and dry out there in the field. You get out there working with your hands, and, you run across problems. Things aren't always red roses, and, things aren't always perfect out there. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm thinking about going with the iManifold. I think I'm going to run with the iManifold. I'm thinking about upgrading to that. That 570 kind of pissed me off. That thing was leaking, Work fine under pressure, but you go to pull a vacuum, that thing won't hold a flipping back. It won't pull down into the vacuum. Just goes to show you, just because it holds pressure, don't mean it's going to be okay with a vacuum. We have to check our stuff, our equipment, regularly, all the time. I recommend that you're going to pull a vacuum with gauges, shut the shutoffs off, or put a connection where, the high and the low side come together. Pull a vacuum on the flipping gauges, right with your micron gauge. Does it pull down under 500 microns, the 300 microns? If so, all right, the gauges are good to go. Let's hook them up. Let's pull a vacuum on the system. If you can't pull a vacuum just on your equipment, on your gauges, you hook them up to the system, ain't going to do shit. You can't pull a vacuum down. We have to get good vacuums now with the way this new oil is. These new systems are coming out with this new oil, and it holds the moisture, guys. We have to get good vacuums on our systems, or there's going to be issues in the future. Years ago, the other oil that they used to run is more forgiving. This new oil that they're running now, I don't know why these guys come up with all this crazy shit, and the stuff's worse than it used to be. But anyway, I just wanted to do a little vlog on that. I'm gonna start doing a little bit more with the 320. Things are all switching over for me for heating. We're gonna be doing a lot of heating videos coming up, and you know me, I bring what I see, good, bad, or ugly. If the system's nasty or gnarly, you're gonna see some nasty, gnarly stuffs on my station. You know, I don't walk around, with a three-piece suit and um, just work on equipment that's been dusted every week. A lot of my shit's down in the basements and it's nasty and rusty and gnarly, and it's all real world situations. And that's what I'm going to bring you guys. I'm going to bring you guys what I see. It's not always pretty, and a lot of shit's not pretty. A lot of the young guys are going to come up and you're going to see. You get out there in the field, not everything's pristine and not everything's, go there for maintenance and the thing's all shiny and you just have to, a lot of the times the shit's all rusted out and nasty. Is it okay to leave it running? Well, that's a judgment call you're going to need to make out in the field, you know? You can't condemn a system that it might be a little bit rusty, but it's still working. You can't condemn it on the people. So it's a judgment call. It's a tough call sometimes, and we need the proper equipment to be able to test stuff like the Testo 320. If you're gonna be working on gas or oil, you need to have a combustion analysis. You got to see what's going on inside them fumes and be able to make an adequate. You can't look at it and say, "Oh yeah, it's burning clean." You don't know if there's carbon monoxide in there. You don't know. You need a meter, and if you're going to be working on the gas equipment, you don't have some kind of combustion analysis. That's like doing, checking refrigeration just by putting your hands on. Oh, it's beer can cold. That's fine. I'm good with that. You can't tell them let you put your gauges on there. The same thing with combustion analysis. How do you know what's going on in that fuel oil, that the oil burner or that gas furnace or gas boiler by looking at it? Yeah, it looks okay, but you don't know. I put my meter on some stuff, man, and it was like 3,000 parts per million, and my meter was starting to choke. Yeah, so I know the Testo 320 is expensive, but what's the price on a life if somebody dies and you were the last one there working on the system, and you were there, and you looked at the flame. Oh yeah, it looks good, but the thing's pumping out like 35,000 parts per million up to the chimney, and then some bird flies down in there and dies down, and shit happens. I pulled ducks out of flue pipes that will choke completely, birds and all kinds. Sometimes, down the chimney will collapse and block the flipping chimney up, and then, shit happens out there in the real world. Things aren't always perfect, guys. And anybody that's been in the field for any amount of time knows that, things just happen. What's an accident? An accident is not something you expect to happen, and accidents happen all the time. So we all need to try to cover our asses the best we can. And if you're working on gas or oil, man, I love the 320. Am I a big Testo man? Testo's got decent equipment. I think it's got good equipment, but it can fail like anything else. We have to stay up on our equipment. That's the moral of this vlog, is we have to test our equipment regularly. Even the 320, it's only good for a couple of years, and we got to change them sensors in there. Even the eye manifold. You're gonna run the eye manifold. If you're gonna pull a vacuum through that eye manifold, you better fucking test that eye manifold. Make sure it's pulling a vacuum before you hook it up to your system. There's O-rings on them shutoffs. Them O-rings will leak. There's no guarantee them O-rings aren't gonna leak. You're only as good as your last job. The equipment's only as good as the last performance it did. And every time you turn that little thing, that O-ring might start leaking. That's all I got to say is just be aware of what's going on and test your equipment. It doesn't take no time to put the vacuum directly to the gauges before you hook them up to the system. Pull a vacuum on the gauges. Is it pulling down? Or if it's not pulling down, well, you really shouldn't be using your gauges to pull a vacuum with anyway. And, we all do it. you know, you're no different than me. We all, you know, throw the gauges on there. Well, I gotta be working in this job for a couple hours. It'll be fine. You know, we all have to try to do what's right all the time. And this video just kind of like, you know, making, if I make a couple of guys think, oh, let me check it, it's the video's worth making. And we're all working, guys. All the guys that watch my station are just guys like me out there in the field. I'm nothing special. A lot of guys that watch me are probably better mechanics than I'll ever be. But I post videos. So what makes me different than them is because I do videos, and they're not doing them. Doesn't say I'm better than them, because I got guys that follow me all over the country, and I got guys calling me on the phone all the time, and we talk back and forth. And I appreciate you guys that call me, and you know, I appreciate the feedback. I appreciate all the loyal subscribers, and that's what my station's about. Was about you guys and bouncing things off each other. You know, I learn by the comments sometimes. You know. And that's what my station's going to continue, and I'm going to grow. And I'm doing it for you guys. I'm doing it for my subscribers, and I get a bunch of great guys that comment and leave comments on my stuff, and I appreciate all my loyal subscribers. And I'm gonna continue to do more videos, and I'm gonna continue to grow. And yeah, I'll have haters come through. I get a bunch of haters come through my station. Well, you know, why they don't like me, I don't know. Maybe because I'm from the north and they're from the south, and whatever. Who fucking cares? You don't like me? Don't watch my shit. What do I fucking care? You know? They don't like me. They don't like me for whatever reason. I don't really give a flying fuck. Really don't. Don't like my shit? Don't watch it. I got, you know, 20 other guys that want to watch my stuff and leave comments. Them are the guys that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about my subscribers. And the haters, they kiss my ass. I don't care. That's just the way I feel. Am I blunt? Oh my God, you're rude. No, I'm just being honest. You know? Fuck the haters. Fuck the haters. They kiss my white honky ass. I'm a white guy. Kiss my white honky ass. How's that? Oh my God, I can't believe you would say that. Well, that's the way I feel. At least I'm not all smoke and mirrors. I say it the way it is. That's how I feel. Period. All right, guys, have a good day. Hopefully I didn't make any enemies. I make enemies anyway. The enemies can kiss my white honky ass, like I said. I'm repeating it again. All right, guys, have a good day.